Out with the appendix, one's word definitions, one's word. We define a person's or other human entity's word, or an organization or company's word, as consisting of each of the following six elements. The context of this appendix is revised version of the definition of one's word contained in Werner Erhard, Michael C. Jensen, and Steve Zaffron. Integrity, a positive model that incorporates the normative phenomenon of morality, ethics, and legality abridged. Whoa, this is a whole separate paper. That's wild. Okay, this seems to be like kind of the precursor. Okay, this was from the appendixes. They first set up the definitions in appendix and then they wrote the paper. What it occurs to me as word one, what you said, whatever you have said, you will do or will not do. And in case of do, by when you said it, you would do it. Note A, requests of you become your word unless you have timely responded to them. There are four legitimate canonical responses to a request, namely accept, decline, counteroffer, or promise to timely respond at a specific later date. I love this. Okay, so accept, decline, counteroffer. Those are the three that I had memorized. Fourth is promise a timely response at some specific later date. Is so great. If when you receive, see, I had the counteroffer as a new request of a date. When you receive, I like it broken out into four, a request, you do not timely respond to that request with one of the four legitimate responses you have in effect accepted, given your word to that request. That is to say that request is part of your word one. Note B, in contrast, your requests of others do not for you become their word when they have not responded in a timely fashion. The efficacy, workability of the asymmetry between note A directly above and this note is explained in section B, word one below, or word one, explained below. Yeah. Word two, what you know, whatever you know or do not know or do or know not to do. In the case of doing it as you know it is meant to be done and doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said the contrary to those who are counting on you. Word three, what is expected of you? That is expectations that are in fact unexpressed requests of you. Whatever anyone with whom you desire with a workable relationship expects you to do or not do. In the case of doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary, obviously includes what you have allowed others to expect of you, even though you have not said you could be expected to do it or not to do it. For the rationale for the efficacy workability of this, see section B below, word three, including numbers one through five. Note your expectations of others, expectations that are in fact unexpressed requests, are not for you their word. What you expect of others and have not explicitly expressed them to them, requested of them, is not for you part of their word as defined in this new model. Only those expectations you have of others that you have made clear to them by explicit request is part of their word for you, unless they decline or counter propose your request. The efficacy workability of the asymmetry between one, others expectations of you being for you your word, while two, your expectations and others are not for you their word, is explained below in section B, word three, note. Word four, what you say is so. Whenever you have, oh, and going back to if you are committing fraud in order to make a sales number, it means you're not good at sales. I said in the last video, if you're not good at anything and it's a persistent complaint of yours, it just shows you that you're just not as good at that. Like people that aren't married but want a committed relationship, and not to say that you have to be married to be in a committed relationship. What I'm saying is people that want a committed relationship that don't have a committed relationship, um, it just has to do with something that you don't know. I mean, maybe that's not the right person, but that can't just be the excuse for forever. I mean, there's like 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, you can find one out of 8 billion. Um, Word for what you say is so, and by the end of 2026, let's say, or 2027, I don't care when you do it, 2029, like just like if you want it, set that future you, and then you can live into that. You know what I mean? Give yourself 10 years. I don't care. I mean, I would use shorter timelines, and then you could just like clean up where I promised X and I didn't do X. Um, as long as you can, grow from that, and not assume that can be done by yourself. I don't know anybody that's gotten everything that they got everything that they want and did it all by themselves. I mean, anyway. What you say, so whenever you have given your word to others as to the existence of something or some state of the world, canonically as an assertion, your word includes you being willing to be held accountable, that the others would find your evidence for what you have asserted makes what you have asserted valid for those others. Note what you knowingly allow others to assume or believe. In addition to what you have outright asserted, your word for includes anything you knowingly know others to assume or believe. Wow. If you allow them to continue to assume or believe it, your word includes you being willing to be held accountable, that they would find that your evidence, including any contrary evidence, for what you have allowed them to assume or believe, also makes it valid for them. That's like enabling in. Wow. Notice that at one end of the spectrum of word for, there is an outright lying, and at the other end of the spectrum, there's simply allowing others to believe something that is for you not valid. Also, see in section B below, word for, word five is what you stand for. What you stand for is a fundamental aspect of who you are for others. And while perhaps less obvious, what you stand for is even a fundamental aspect of who you are for yourself. In each case, what you stand for is your word. What you stand for, canonically, a declaration is constituted by one, who you hold yourself out to be for others, the way of being and acting you say others can count on you or allow others to count on from you. And two, who you hold yourself to be for yourself. The way of being and acting you say or you assume you can count on from yourself, whether specifically articulated by you or not. Given that your word as what you stand for with others and with yourself is a fundamental aspect of who you are. When your word as what you stand for lacks integrity, is less than whole, complete, unbroken, sound, and perfect condition, you as a person lack integrity. In a real sense, you as a person are less than whole, complete, unbroken, sound, and perfect condition. This is true not only for a person, but just as true for any other human entity, a corporation, partnership, agency, or association. See Searle, 1969, Speech Acts, an essay in the philosophy of language, Cambridge, UK, Cambridge University Press, especially for his discussion of assertions. Moral, I'm just thinking of like That I was asking for studies in the last one of like crime or something like that. I'd be interested to see like seventh, fifth generation people born in the USA versus third generation or second or first generation, the amount of crime um that happens at each generation. Not to compare, but just see. Word six, moral, ethical, and legal standards, the social moral standards, the group ethical standards, and the governmental legal standards of right and wrong or good and bad behavior in a society, groups, and state in which one enjoys the benefits of membership are also part of one's word, what one is expected to do or not do, unless A, one has explicitly or publicly expressed an intention to not keep one or more of these standards, and B, one is willing to bear the cost of refusing to conform to these standards, the rules of the game one is in. Note that in 1 through 6, we have defined what constitutes person, a human entity, uh, a human entity's work or another human entity's work, not what constitutes integrity. Integrity for a person or other human entity is that person or that human entity's word in each of the six aspects of one's word spelled out above, being whole, complete, unbroken, sound, and in perfect condition. Clarification of one's word as defined above. Word one, most people will not have a problem with word one, their word being constituted by that which they have given their word. About the two notes in word one, however, many people will have a problem with word one with the seeming unfairness of the asymmetry of note B. Your requests of others do not become for you their word when they have not responded to your request in a timely fashion, assuming that the non-response of another to your request is an acceptance on their part, invites a breakdown in workability and a consequential decline in the opportunity for performance where another has not timely responded to your request. You avoid the chance of such breakdown if you hold accountable for obtaining a response. Not that integrity is a matter of workability resulting from being whole and complete to as to one's word, not an issue of fairness. So let's say life isn't fair. Conversely, others' requests of you do become your word if you have not timely declined, counteroffered, or promised a timely response at some specific later date. And again, look, you could put your later date of 10 years from now to respond. I don't need a response right away necessarily. I just need you to let me know so that it's not an open tab for me. This asymmetry avoids possible breakdown of other assuming your acceptance of their request when you might have intended to decline their request. Again, integrity is a matter of workability resulting from being whole and complete to one's word, not an issue of fairness. And you can always say no now and say yes later. It is, it causes a rift. I don't know. It has an impact, it has a consequence of saying yes and then saying no later and backing out on your word. Word two, some people may have a problem with word two, their word also being constituted by what they know to do and doing it as it was meant to be done, because there might be situations in which they don't know what to do or may know how it is meant to be done or may not know how it's meant to be done. If one does not know what to do and one does not know that one does not know what to do, that does not fit the definition of one's word as stated in word two. Doing what you know to do. However, if one does not know what to do and one knows that one does not know, that does fit the definition of one's word too. And explicitly saying that one does not know what to do would be part of one's word. Otherwise, the other would be left with the belief that one does know what to do. Likewise, with knowing how it is meant to be done. This is so much leading by example. Three, many people will have a problem with their word being constituted by word three. And the student or the person that doesn't know, being a student, being a voracious student of constant learning. And I'd say it's two things. It's learning about your craft and then learning about, I don't know, people, yourself, probably more yourself. Um, being constituted word three. Whatever is expected of you by those with whom you desire a workable relationship, unless you have said to the contrary. Of course, if someone has expressed his or her expectation of me in the form of an explicit request, I can accept, decline, or counteroffer that expectation. No problem with that. It is being obligated by expectations that have not been expressed explicitly, and certainly those about which one is aware, with which many people will have a problem. When unexpressed expectations are also considered as part of one's word, it occurs for many as inappropriate that one must then fulfill those unexpressed expectations in order to maintain one's word as whole and complete. There are 5 points to be considered. In this model, there is no obligation to fulfill others' expectations of you. However, if you do not either decline the expectations of others or fulfill them, there will be a breakdown in your opportunity for performance in the relationship. Two, suppose someone has expectations that are in fact unexpressed requests or of another. For better or for worse, what is expected of one is expected of one. In life, there is no escaping expectations. And if there is an expectation and you do not either meet the expectation or cover it and explicitly declare that you will not meet it, the outcome is the same as having given your word and not kept your word. That is, there will be a breakdown in workability in that relationship. When one's word in a relationship is less than whole, complete, unbroken, and sound in perfect condition, one's opportunity for performance in that relationship declines. And I want to expand your definition of relationship to not mean relationship between just people to people, but your relationship to money, your relationship to your car, your relationship to your organization, your relationship to your house, your relationship to your sense of self, your relationship to you, your relationship to I don't know, your aesthetic, your dress, it could be anything. The notion of it being wrong or right or bad or good or unfair or fair, that you are affected by an unannounced expectations of others with whom you desire to have a workable relationship is a normative value judgment. And this new model of integrity is devoid of such normative value judgments. Whether you like it or not is irrelevant from the standpoint of integrity and therefore of workability and opportunity for performance, given the obvious impact of the unmet expectations on unworkability of relationships, recognizing that the expectations of others matter, treating all expectations of those with whom you desire to have a workable relationship as part of your word, unless you have explicitly declared that you will not meet them. Your integrity will not increase. When integrity increases, that is, your word is more fully whole, complete, unbroken, sound, in perfect condition, the workability of your life increases and your work opportunity for performance increases. One follows the other willy-nilly, i.e., what is i.e., for example, willingly or unwillingly. Going back to like, for example, a relationship with money, like people that I see that maybe aren't the best with money, they seem to have a relationship with money of like, oh, well, I'll just earn more later, or I'll get to work later, or I need this thing without thinking like taking the second to be like, okay, this thing that I say that I need, is it a want or is it a need? Um, Delayed gratification, like all of these things are potential relationships that people could have with money that is a will ultimately lead to a self-destructing behavior. In light of the above 2 points, it follows that for a person's word to be whole and complete and thereby create a life of with high workability and high performance, one has to be a cause in the matter of what is expected of one. By looking at life from the perspective that I am cause in the matter, be a declaration, not an assertion of what people expect of me, I am then led to be highly sensitive and motivated to ferret out those expectations and to take action to manage them. If I am straight with those who have expectations that I will not fulfill, my word will be intact. Life will have greater workability, and my performance, however defined, will be greater. Expectations and requests of you are your word only if you have failed to decline them. Consequently, when declining an expectation of you, you do not have to deal with any of the mess that arises as a result of your decline. Note that may well be a mess in a relationship as a human system as a result of your decline. On the other hand, you will have continuing messes and misidentify the cause of those messes that arise from not being straight with those who have expectations that you will not fulfill. Speaking about the impact of one person of not being straight with those who have expectations that you will not fulfill. As the old adage says, if you can't say no, you can't really say yes. Whoa. Mind queer. Mind clear. While not needing to do so, as a matter of integrity, what would be wise to do something to deal with any mess that results from your decline? In summary, one's word, as we have defined it in this new model, is not a matter of being obligated or not, or even being willing or not willing to fulfill the expectations that are in fact unexpressed requests of others. If there is an expectation, there is an expectation. If you do not fulfill the expectation, have not said that you will not fulfill the expectation, the consequence on workability and therefore performance is the same as that which you have explicitly given your word. That this is true even though you have justification for not fulfilling the expectation. For example, like it or not, a person's performance is also judged against expectations, unexpressed requests, even if that person has never agreed to or was never even aware of those expectations or requests. Thus, to create workability with those from with whom you desire to have a relationship, you must clean up any mess created in their lives that result from their expectation of you do not meet, that you have explicitly declined. This is what it means to take yourself to be cause in the matter of expectations of you. Note, your expectations, unexpressed requests of others are not the word of others. There is an asymmetry here. As we have said above, the word includes unexpressed expectations of others unless you formally decline them, yet your unexpressed expectations are not for you the word of others. Thus, you cannot hold others accountable for fulfilling your unexpressed expectations. Closed mouths don't get fed. What's the other version of that? Indeed, ask for what you want. Indeed, holding others accountable for fulfilling your unexpressed expectations will result in the diminution diminution of workability, and therefore performance and consequence of your being out of integrity. This asymmetry is in effect an instance of what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, is required to be whole, complete in one's word, with oneself and with others. We'll continue with this appendix word 4 in just a sec. Hope you're having a great day. Peace, love.